Time for us to talk HR, one of our favorite subjects, with HRMAB. Joining us this morning is the president herself, Joan Underwood, my very good friend. With her is Julie Turney, who is a member of HRMAB HRMAB. Good morning, ladies.
Good
Good
morning.
morning, good morning.
Joan,
Good
Happy New
morning,
Year
Barbie.
here. I feel as if I haven't seen you in so long.
You're so powerful.
It's the truth. I just feel that way, but good to see you indeed. Great work HRMAB is doing, and I'm so glad we can have this opportunity here on Morning Barbados to expose a number of things that as people and practitioners of HR, we all need to be able to get right. Part of which is the whole question of employee engagement and psychological safety. And then when I was thinking about this, I kept thinking, at work we talk a lot about health and safety. We think of the physical plant, but sometimes we forget the psychological aspect within that plant too, the people. And let's talk about that, how it relates to employee engagement. Explain for us, therefore, psychological safety.
Well, at HRMAB, we're all about the people. And in terms of what we mean when we say psychological safety, it's that belief, that conviction that it's okay for you to ask questions, for you to admit when you don't know something, that it's not going to come back to bite you, that you don't have to always be on the defensive, so you feel safe. And the model of psychological safety that I particularly appreciate identifies four stages of psychological safety. The first one is inclusion safety. So I feel as if I'm a part of this organization, a part of this team. It's not that I'm on the outside looking in. So that's the first level, the most fundamental level. The next level is learner safety. I feel safe to learn on the job. So I don't have to know everything when I walk through the door. It's okay for me to learn on the job. There'll be no penalty. And if it's safe for me to learn on the job, that means that I may make a mistake and I don't have to hide it. I don't have to be afraid that people are going to judge me because I didn't know something. I didn't know the correct way to do something. So inclusion, learning. The next level of safety is contributor safety, that I can make a contribution to the team that will be valued. So my input matters. I safely understand and believe that. And the fourth level, which is the highest level and which you may not all necessarily get to, is challenger safety. Because if you feel included, if you've learned on the job, if you've been contributing, and you see something that you don't think is going right, you feel safe enough to challenge it without fear of getting your head cut off, that people think, who are you to challenge? Who are you to ask? This is how we do it. So those are the four levels of psychological safety that I have found very helpful in mastering that.
Somebody's watching saying, Joel, you sleeping, girl, but that doesn't happen at my workplace. And that's for a lot of people their reality. They feel as though they're walking into a space every day where they are dumbed down, for want of a better expression at the moment. And so that engagement that that employers are seeking, it just doesn't happen in the same way that you've just described it. So Julie, help me understand then, what are some of the challenges here? Why is the environment so toxic that my whole psychological makeup is challenged in the way that it is?
So, when we think about workplace toxicity, it's all surrounded around how we're developing our cultures ultimately. And a lot of times, when we are not on the same page, whether it's as leadership, as HR, as employees, as managers, when we're not all on the same page when it comes to that conversation around psychological safety, then it means that we're going to have these bumps in the road. We're going to start creating these environments where some managers do one thing, other managers do other things. So, as you rightly mentioned, a lot of people will say, I don't have any psychological safety in my workplace. Then some organizations may have some managers that account for it, allow for it, and then other people on the outside looking in go, well, why isn't my manager like that? But it all comes down to making sure that we're all on the same page when it comes to communicating, that we're trying to create a culture where we as a community, not a family, a community, want to promote psychological safety in the workplace.
So that starts head down. It starts up
Yeah.
there. You set the policy, and everyone should hopefully filter in to determine that policy. But how do I measure it? How do I measure this level of engagement? Because one manager is doing it, the other one is doing it, and somehow we're all somehow contributing to the whole anyway. So how do we measure this so that we are effectively creating the right environment?
So that comes down to there are different mechanisms that we can use. We could use surveys, which could be done on a monthly basis, a quarterly basis, an annual basis, to find out how people are feeling about the workplace, how they're feeling about their managers, how they're feeling about the work that they do. We can also use proxies. So while we have surveys, proxies are related to information and data that we're already gathering that is engagement adjacent. So when we think about our absence numbers, when we think about our sickness numbers, when we think about our performance numbers, we can look at those because they're tied to engagement. And then lastly, we can also use interviews. So when you think about creating stay interviews, I know a lot of times in HR, we focus on exit interviews, but we are encouraged to also focus on stay interviews, which is finding out from people before they leave, long before they leave, what are the things that we're doing well that we can continue to do? What are the things we're not doing well that we should stop doing? And what are the things that we aren't doing that we really should start to do? And so when we do this, then we're creating space for people to feel psychologically safe, to share that information, to then help us to improve the engagement experience in the workplace.
This, Joan, requires a lot of honesty and openness and vulnerability, but at the same time in a very safe way that we can all work together. But who drives it? Who, at the end of the day, drives it? And I ask that for a reason, because I remember in my other iteration while working in banking, we had made a decision there that we're going to shift the way we do customer service, but it required that everyone top down had to go through the training process. Training was not done by managers, training was done by simple people. I was one of them. We were the trainers of this process, and every manager who came had to be, there was a shift in roles. So you understood that as the trainer, training you, Mr. Manager, that you had to listen and comply. So who drives the process though at the end of the day? Who manages it?
Great question. And you've put your finger on it exactly. Because here's the thing, you mentioned the word vulnerability, to be vulnerable. And as Julie mentioned, this is all about community. With psychological safety, you're not safe just based on your relationship with one person. It's like the water that fish swim in. It has to be safe all around for psychological safety to genuinely exist. So who's responsible for the culture? Yes, it has to be driven from the top down. So the leadership within the organization has to send a very clear and unambiguous signal that this is how we do things here. And Julie mentioned that there's some managers who show up in a way that create this type of environment where people are safe. But if it's not permeating throughout the organization, then you don't genuinely have safety, because it needs to affect everyone. And the way we can do that is by holding people accountable for either adhering to the principles of psychological safety or not. Now, in terms of engagement, right, and you don't get the genuine engagement, the type of discretionary effort that you're looking for if people don't feel safe. What the published research has shown is that one of the principal drivers of engagement and psychological safety is the type of relationships that you have in the organization. With whom do you interact most often? You're interacting with your direct supervisor or line manager more so than the people who are at the top of the organization. So while it starts at the top of the organization in terms of setting the culture, this is how we do things here. It also needs to filter through supervisors, through line managers, through middle managers, so that the employees see, look, this is not an anomaly. This is not just based on who this particular person is, but rather it's the way that we are within the organization.
You know, we never have enough time, Joan, cheese or bread. We never seem to have enough time. But I'm sure that for me, I could feel it almost that there are people who are operating business today who are thinking, I am embarrassed to raise my hand to say that sounds like my environment where I do need the help. And they do need the help. There are some HR managers who are thinking, my gosh, that sounds interesting, but I don't know how to. How can they now, and how does HRMAB lend support in situations like these?
Oh, we're happy to lend support. And we encourage you to follow us on social media. So you can check us out on LinkedIn, on Facebook, on Instagram as well. You can also reach out to us, check our website. You can get in touch with us. And if you're an HR practitioner and you want to lead this process within your organization, if you're not a member of HRMAB yet, we invite you to join us. Our general monthly meeting is coming up on this Monday. So reach out to us. You can reach out to me, to Julie, any member, or contact us at the Secretariat, and we'll send you the link because we're still meeting virtually. So we're meeting Monday evening at 6 p.m. So do join us, and we can help you not just with engagement and psychological safety, but with all your HR needs.
Well put. Thank you so much, ladies. Again, I look forward to next week's engagement with you. We're talking HR with HRMAB. Our good friend Joan Underwood, the president of HRMAB. With her is Julie Turney, a member. We encourage you. I mean, the membership comes with benefits, folks. So if you're not yet a member of HRMAB, join today. Find them on social, find them online, and they'll be happy to be able to engage with you, because the next meeting is on Monday and you should not miss it. Thank you so much, and all the best going forward.
Morning, morning, morning.